Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your attention. Please welcome to the stage the Clerk of Kansas City, Marilyn Sanders.
Thank you, and once again, welcome to Nelson Atkins Museum of Art and the annual State of the City Address. I'm proud to introduce individuals who will work each day diligently for our city. Please welcome City Manager of Kansas City, Troy Schulte. Please welcome the City Council of Kansas City, Councilman Scott Wagner, 1st District at Large, and Mayor Pro Tem. Councilwoman Heather Hall, 1st District. Councilwoman Teresa Lohr, 2nd District at Large. Councilman Dan Fowler, 2nd District. Councilman Quentin Lucas, 3rd District at Large. Councilman Jermaine Reed, 3rd District. Councilwoman Catherine Shields, 4th District at Large. Councilwoman Jolie Justice, 4th District. Councilman Lee Barnes Jr., 5th District at Large. Councilwoman Alicia Kennedy, 5th District. Councilman Scott Taylor, 6th District at Large. Councilman Kevin McManus, 6th District. Now, all who are able, please rise for the presentation of the colors. Following the Pledge of Allegiance, please remain standing for the invocation. Presenting our nation's color guard today is the Color Guard of the Marine Corps Recruiting Station, Kansas City. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Present today to deliver the joint invocation are Rabbi Scott White of Ohio Shalom and Imam Suleiman Salom Jr. of Al-Haq Islamic Center.
Almighty God, with mercy, accept our prayer on behalf of our city and its government. Pour out your blessings upon this city, its leader, and officials who are devoted in good faith to the needs of the public. Help them to understand your rules of justice so that peace and security, Happiness and freedom will never depart from us. We pray, Adonai, God, whose spirit is in all creatures, that you awaken that spirit within all the inhabitants of this city, that you uproot from our hearts all hatred and malice, all jealousy and strife, and that you plant among those of different nationalities and faiths who dwell among us love and companionship, peace and friendship. May it therefore be your will that our city be a blessing to all who dwell here, and that you cause all of us to dwell in friendship and freedom, to speedily fulfill the vision of your prophets. For all of them, from the least of them to the greatest of them, shall know me, the Lord. Amen.
With the name of the Creator, who is the guardian, evolver, and cherisher of all that is in creation, the one who, regardless to what name we call him by, hears and answers our prayers. We humbly ask, we come before you this evening, first thanking you for the countless blessings that you are always bestowing upon us, from the air that we breathe to the gift of life, the love of family and friends, to being blessed to be citizens not only in the United States of America, but citizens in one of the best cities America has to offer. Our Lord, we are living in some trying times. Throughout this country, we have citizens concerned about themselves and their loved ones being deported. We have citizens concerned about sometimes violent, divisive climate that has been produced by our president and others who are fostering it. We have citizens concerned about their health care. We have citizens concerned about their welfare and their ability to provide for their families. We have young people killing each other and dying in our city streets. And although all of this may seem bleak, we are encouraged because we know that you are still in control of all things. We recognize that sometimes you allow hardships and tragedies to occur so that we remember to turn to you and to each other for support. And we are encouraged because you have blessed us here in Kansas City with a mayor, our Honorable Mayor Sly James, our distinguished city council members, our public officials, our community activists, and many citizens who have banded together over the past several months to answer the call of their human and their civic responsibility to help assure the rights, welfare, and safety of all the citizens of this great city. Lord, though we might try, none of us have the capacity to do all things, so we seek your guidance, your assistance, your mercy, and your protection. We pray that you continue to inspire in us the willingness and the desire to work cooperatively together so that we can ensure the best reality for all of us. We ask that you continue to purify our hearts and help us to see the role that we all must play in help keeping Kansas City a beacon of light for the rest of the nation. You are our Lord, and we know that if we stay faithful and we keep you out front, Kansas City will continue to be kind KC, a city of peace, a city of progress, a city of prosperity, a city of security, a city that represents the vision our founding fathers had when they established our great nation. Amen.
Thank you, Rabbi White and Iman Salam, for that beautiful invocation, and thank you to the Color Guard of the Marine Corps Recruiting Station of Kansas City. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the Mayor of Kansas City, Sly James.
And I love you, dear, but just how long? And I keep singing the same old song, going back to Kansas City.
Thank you. You've been standing long enough. Please go ahead and sit down. Thank you, Marilyn, for that warm welcome and for the work that you do on behalf of the city every day. I want to thank my fellow Marines and the Color Guard for taking part in the event this evening. Whenever I see a Marine Corps uniform and a person in it, then I'm reminded of some of my earlier years and some of my foundational teachings. Thank you to both Rabbi Scott White and Imam Suleiman Salam Jr. for tonight's invocation. First, let me take a moment to acknowledge all of the elected officials joining us here from the greater Kansas City area. Would you all stand? I can't see you, so would you all stand so that we can recognize you, all the elected officials from greater Kansas City. Thank you. Thank you all very much. To my colleagues on the City Council, I want to thank you all for being here this evening. And I want to thank you for the work that you do every day on behalf of your own constituents and the residents in your district and on behalf of all the residents and constituents of this city. I'd like to acknowledge all the department directors and other city staff here this evening. The work that you do, the dedicated people who serve this city every day, often goes unnoticed, but your contributions are absolutely vital to the success of this city. So thank you very much for what you do. And I'm always honored to have a chance to acknowledge and thank my friend, the city manager, Troy Schulte. I've said it before, but Troy's work has guided smart decision-making, innovative management, and prudent stewardship of taxpayer dollars. Now, he wouldn't tell you this, but early one morning this winter, as we were all preparing for that blizzard that never actually came, Troy was up before dawn in a truck prepping streets, not only because the work needed to be done, but because Troy really does miss being on a farm and the solitude of being in a tractor by himself. So, Troy, on behalf of all of Kansas City, I thank you for what you do, my friend. As my staff knows, I often go off script. I'm sure I'll do it 100 times tonight, but I want to take an opportunity to thank my wonderful and talented staff, without whom, frankly, I would not be able to function properly. And without whom I would not be able to do some of the things that we've been able to do together. So please stand, all of you, so that I can love you and so that everybody else can. Thank you. Now, my chief of staff, Joni, will tell you that she is the boss of me, but I tell her that she's not, but I let her think that she is so that she doesn't get mad at me. I want to give my sincere thanks to Julian and his staff and team here at the Nelson Atkins Museum of Art for welcoming us all into the museum tonight and for hosting this event. We're here at a truly iconic Kansas City institution and home to world-class art and sculpture. I'd also like to recognize the work of our police chief, Daryl Forte. Now, as you know, Daryl announced that he's going to be retiring a little bit later this year, early spring, I imagine. But we're fortunate to have had Daryl as our police chief during these turbulent times, and I personally value the working and personal relationship that he and I have maintained over the 6 years that we've worked together. I'll always consider Daryl a friend, and I will always be grateful for the service he rendered to this city. Finally, to my wonderful family, the ones who allow me to be me, even when it gets on their nerves. To Alicia, my wife of 36 years, to Asia, my daughter, who threatens to put me in the nursing home of her choice, to my son Malik and his beautiful wife Jessica, the parents of my grandchildren Race and Gray, to Audra and Jason, parents of two wonderful children in Cruz and Mina. It is always great to have you around because I know that when you're around, everything is all right, and family is always going to be the most important thing. So thank you all. I love you all for it. Now, lastly, I want to extend a special welcome to all those who are either watching or listening someplace else. This year, in addition to broadcasting live on Channel 2 and streaming live on kcmo.org or .gov, it's the first time residents can watch live on Facebook. But I do want to apologize to all my friends in the Twitter sphere, however, because tonight I get more than 140 characters to make my case. This marks the 6th time that I have had this humbling and somewhat awesome experience of delivering our city's annual address. This is an opportunity to celebrate and to honor those who have contributed so much. And without fail, when this speech ends, in the years that follow, I will find myself even more committed to the success of our wonderful city. I really love this job. And every day I get to see the amazing work being done all across this community. And my renewed commitment each year is certainly not because I've won every policy debate. And it's not because I've avoided hard choices in an effort to be liked all the time. It's the people and getting to see every single day what we're capable of. That's the source of my faith in our city and in our potential. The bottom line is we have the best people in the best city anywhere, period. That's not a platitude. I hear it from families who just moved here, new to town, and I know that you do too. And we can burst with pride without surrendering to hubris. We look out for each other. We get things done. And now for 6 years, I've made a promise that I would focus on doing things and providing leadership. I have always aimed to be optimistic, yet frank and honest about what we've accomplished and about what needs to be done. And no doubt, we have a lot to be proud of in our city right now, and we have issues that we need to face head on. But I want to address all these things tonight with a very clear purpose in mind. The passion and talent of our people is the source of our momentum. And our residents have the ability to take on the challenges we face and then to succeed. The key to our city's success isn't some secret sauce, it's us. Now, this shouldn't surprise you. It's been a time-honored tradition in Kansas City. In 1951, Kansas City was ravaged by a devastating flood. Not long after the waters quit rising, Joyce C. Hall, the founder of Hallmark Cards, commissioned Norman Rockwell to create a painting that captured what he called the Kansas City spirit. In Bruce Matthews' book of the same title, Hall shared his request of Rockwell. He wanted a painting that would, quote, forever symbolize that certain something in good men's hearts that makes them put service above self and accomplish the impossible, end quote. The Kansas City spirit means we know that progress is only possible through action. So I'm calling on all of us here tonight to renew this spirit of service, because we know that our progress and momentum can vanish just like that overnight unless we commit to action. That's why I believe that because of you, the state of our city is strong. So let's talk about that momentum I mentioned just a second ago and what it looked like last year. Citizen satisfaction survey results are at an all-time high. In 2016, brought with it a record number of tourists to Kansas City, more than 24 million visitors. Kansas City Streetcar made its debut last May, and as of today has carried an astounding 1.4 million passengers since its launch, and it's generated a 58% increase in sales tax revenue in the TDD compared to 16% in the rest of the city. Just last month, doors opened at the Linwood YMCA James B. Nutter Community Center. And just yesterday, we broke ground on a new full-service grocery at the Linwood Shopping Center. Perfect examples of what great things we can do and what take place when people join together for a common good. Late last year, CVS announced plans for a new 762,000 square foot distribution center that will bring 350 jobs to the Skyport Industrial Park. Costco is soon going to have a new location north of the river. Just a few weeks ago, Cerner opened the doors to its Innovations Campus, eventually the home to over 10,000 employees. Kansas City was host to the annual conference for National Institute of Standards and Technology, part of the U.S. Commerce Department. We welcome mayors and technology and information officers, as well as private sector partners from across the entire country. The conference served as a launch of our new Smart City data platform, which allows residents to monitor available parking along the streetcar line or to see patterns in traffic. This conference is a clear sign that Kansas City can stay ahead of the curve when it comes to using data to make smart decisions. The Women's Empowerative Initiative that my office founded in 2014 is the first of its kind in the nation. It's a collaboration with the Central Exchange, the Women's Foundation, and the University of Missouri at Kansas City. The effort includes an appointments project, a public-private partnership that's facilitated the appointment of 20 truly great women to city boards and commission in the last 3 years. As a result, women's representation on our boards and commissions has increased to over 41%. As this year, the We Initiative was named a semifinalist in the Innovation in American Government Awards from the Kennedy School of Government at Harvard. Now, one of these times I'm going to go off script. Where is Joni? And where is Rachel? Rachel and Joni, please stand. These two women, have worked their tails off on the We Initiative over the years, and they have made it a great success. And Joni will take every opportunity that she can to tell you that she is going to Harvard for one reason or another. In 2017, creating a means by which to empower women in leadership should not be considered innovative and cutting edge. I don't believe that we're a world-class city if we empower women. I believe we're a world-class city because we empower women. There's a lot to point to this past year as a sign of our great momentum. So what is it that makes momentum possible? Is it good timing? Is it good ideas? I believe that momentum is what you get when good timing and good ideas meet people willing to take action. And if we want great people to be ready to take action, then we as a city must invest in those people. And here's how we've done it. It starts with our kids and our grandkids. This year, we're expanding our summer youth employment program, Hire KC Youth, from City Hall to citywide. Under the leadership of the Kansas City Social Innovation Center and their CEO, Carrie Keefe, and the Full Employment Council and our good friend Clyde McQueen, more kids will have access to meaningful workplace experiences during the summer and beyond. The Kansas City Restaurant Association, God bless their heart, already committed to providing 50 jobs this summer to kids from manual tech who are interested in the culinary arts. The program is partnering with businesses across the city, and we can find out how we can get you engaged to help hire kids in the KC Youth Partnership Program. So we need you to step up. Tomorrow's workforce needs internships today. But some kids don't learn best at a desk or in an office. That's why the fields are taking shape at the Kansas City Major League Baseball Urban Youth Baseball Academy. In the heart of the 18th and Vine District, planning is underway for the grand opening of the facility this fall. Through this $19 million public-private partnership, kids have access to the fundamentals of the game along with educational and career development opportunities. Most importantly, this is a place that connects kids with adults who care about them and care about their success. That's why it means so much that kids in our urban core will have access to the academy, have access to Royals players, coaches, and talent at no cost to them or their family. That's right, it is absolutely free. Carolyn Watley is here. Carolyn Watley was absolutely fabulous spearheading our development program for this program. Carolyn, where are you? Please stand so that you can be recognized. Now, investing in kids means we also have to invest in families. No family should have to struggle because we failed to make equity a priority. That's why my office has advocated for and implemented paid family leave among city employees. I believe it's essential that our city reflects the same commitment to the employees that we expect the employees to make to the city. I was also glad to see the Governor Greitens followed our lead and instituted a similar plan at the state level. Sometimes a family just needs an opportunity to open a door to a new career. Last year, I announced the arrival of Launch Code in Kansas City. Launch Code is a tech nonprofit that educates, trains, and places aspiring computer developers with drive and talent into paid apprenticeships and jobs. Charity Hubbard was a stay-at-home mom with a background in theater. When she heard about Launch Code's free coding education from one of my tweets, she was inspired to apply, and she entered the program. Eddie Burris, a UMKC professor running the course, recognized Charity as a standout student and encouraged her. Now, a year later, she's completed the program, and she's landed an apprenticeship writing code for Commerce Bank. Charity is here with us tonight. Where are you, Charity? Please stand so that you can be recognized. Thank you. Now, see, this is kind of what our city is all about, opportunities meeting people ready to take action. Kids and families are the core of this community, but committing to our people also means we have to commit to one another's success. And that's why we support our homegrown innovators through our Innovation Partnership Program. The program, in its third year, provides a unique opportunity for startups to develop, and it allows the city the opportunity to explore how technologies can improve the delivery of city services. We want to be home to the best talent and minds in the world, so as a city, we're willing to serve as an R&D partner and guinea pig in order to give companies the boost they need to take off. One of last year's participants, Readavus Health, is an app that aids response, treatment, and care for health emergencies by better coordinating the efforts across first responders, nurses, and doctors. In fact, Readavus helped the fire department in saving the life of a heart attack victim who went into cardiac arrest in the field. Applications for IPP open in April for all of those aspiring innovators out there, and we urge you to apply. It's important, however, that we keep in mind that technology simply cannot be taken for granted. The fact of the matter is, equity is essential in the digital age as well. After all, connectivity is actually the infrastructure of the future. And that's why our city has taken the lead in establishing the Digital Equity Strategic Plan. But the city is just one part of this effort. Co-founders of the coalition include KC Digital Drive, Kansas City Public Library, Linwood YMCA, Connecting for Good, and others. Examples include free public Wi-Fi on the streetcar line, our city's open data, or participation in national incentives and initiatives like Connect Home, bringing high-speed internet to houses in the urban core, and Tech Hire, employing aspiring tech industry workers. But that's really not enough. The city will also continue its partnership with the Surplus Exchange through the Digital Upcycling Program, providing hardware to people who need digital access but can't afford the rising costs. In a world-class city, seniors should never struggle to access health or social services because they lack an internet connection. And kids should never fall behind in class because they don't have the technology at their hands that their peers have in their homes. So as a city, we can help validate the work of aspiring innovators and make sure that everyone has an opportunity to participate in the digital age. And for that, I'd like to thank the good work of McLean Bryant, our policy director, for all the things she did, and Kate Garman for the work that you do as well in that space. And I think, Bob, I saw you over here too. Bob Bennett, all three of you, please stand and be recognized. But we also have an obligation to look out for those who have given so much while asking for so very little. That's why it makes me proud and happy that just last week, the KCATA, under the really tremendous leadership of Robbie Mackinnon, in partnership with the working men and women of the AFL-CIO, announced a new policy. If you're a veteran of our military, you can now access any of the KC transit systems and services at no cost, anytime. Our commitment to each other is measured in no small part by the commitment we make to those who have served and do serve us. You and I know this is the right thing to do. Investing in our people is the cornerstone of our city's success, and we found solutions that empower opportunity. Sometimes these solutions are clear, other times solutions require more than a policy or a program. Sometimes we actually have to raise our hands and our voices. I believe that this actually does represent our best value. I believe our world-class character is on full display when our city stands up for those in the margins, threatened or excluded because of race or religion or gender or where we're from or who we love. Mayors are the reflection of the values of their cities and the cities that they serve. That's why I've said in recent months when asked about rising protests and frustrations, we can never surrender to bigotry or manufactured fear. We cannot take action through anger. We cannot enhance our community through violence. Calling for tolerance and justice isn't about who we oppose or who we fear. It's about who we are as a city. It's about who we want to be as a city. So it's on us to speak out, and we must commit to, we must agree to, we must promise to, and we must act to protect the dignity of each of our neighbors, regardless of whether or not they look like us, sound like us, came from the same place as us, love the same people that we do, or any other thing. Our people are our people. So you remember what I said earlier, that momentum can only occur when opportunity meets people ready to take action. We can't sit back and hope that our success continues. We also can't wait for the problems that we have to solve themselves. We have to make changes together. I've said it before. Mayors don't create jobs. Mayors don't solve crimes. A mayor can't pass a test for a kid in school. And if it's a math test, the kid may have to pass for me. When these things do occur, it's as a result of a collective effort. But you and I know that in a community that invests in people, commits to each other, and aspires to take action, obstacles are always still present. Obstacles like politics. Politics these days is built on fear, ideology, and suspicion, and incentivizing short-term thinking, when what we really need is deeper trust within our community. We need a long-term vision. And we need more leadership and less politics. But I want to tell you tonight, in no uncertain terms, despite the times, despite the critics, despite the difficult work involved, these obstacles have no place in our vision for this city. We have work to do. Throwing up our hands and saying it can't be done simply is not an option. And that's why I want to talk to you about a few issues that aren't measured by catalytic momentum, but rather by methodical process. Some challenges are so complex and are affected by so many elements that they simply cannot be tackled all at once. Some challenges we inherit and take hold of in our moment. And when our moment is ended, our progress is real and we can provide the next generation of leadership a more achievable goal. There are countless stories of this progress in our city's history. People who've taken hold of the challenges they faced and made progress toward the future for others to build on. Dorothy Davis Johnson earned a master's degree in social work in 1960. An educated black woman with a deep commitment to serve, Johnson was the first director of the Jackson County Department of Health and Welfare. She also served as a consultant for local social welfare projects and was an assistant professor at the UMKC School of Medicine. In the late 70s, Johnson and a group of female colleagues shared their frustration with barriers they faced in the business community. Their involvement in development was often limited to just their husbands' organizations. In their mind, something needed to change. She and that group of women began to meet regularly, providing the network and resources of a business club all their own. 2 years later, Johnson was one of the 12 originating members of the Central Exchange. Today, the Central Exchange offers more than 500 programs dedicated to empowering women in the business community, and its membership is now more than 1,000 Kansas City area women. So what are our challenges today that we need to take hold of? During an interview a few months ago, I was asked why, as mayor, I thought education was a policy priority. After all, they said, the city charter doesn't even mention the word education. So I asked them to identify one aspect of life in Kansas City where education was not a factor. They couldn't. Our city's very lifeblood is talent, creativity, and the work ethic of our citizens. That means we need well-educated people. And there is no indicator more critical to success in education than reading. That's why in 2011, I established Turn the Page KC, a project dedicated to pairing volunteer reading partners with students in order to address the crisis, and I do use the word crisis specifically, of third grade reading proficiency. I call it a crisis because there are cities in this country where third grade reading proficiency is 11%, 6%, 12%, 30%. And if you know what happens when those numbers are attached to the future of children, how many more go to prison, how many more wind up in bad situations, unable to make a living, dying earlier, then you would know why I call it a crisis. When we started Turn the Page KC, third grade reading proficiency in Kansas City was 33%. We just wrapped up the 5th full year of the organization's work in positive collaboration with a ton of other organizations who are similarly focused. And I'm proud to say the proficiency among Kansas City third graders in 2016 was 55%. Now, we still got a lot of work to do, and these are exciting results, but that's not enough. Another focus of Turn the Page KC is school attendance. If you're not in school, you're not going to learn to read. We know many factors can impact a child's attendance at school, including suspensions, and studies show that boys of color, specifically African American boys, are much more likely to be suspended. That's why in May, my office, along with the health department and Turn the Page, will be hosting a school suspension summit. We will support schools and provide resources that help change minds, policies, and practices around discipline. Just last week, we opened Turn the Page's Early Learning Hub, a place for parents to connect with the resources that they need to provide their children with the best possible early childhood experiences. The Hub is a collaborative space where Kansas City's early childhood education community will collaborate to design innovative tools for parents with young kids. For Turn the Page, the core mission remains the same 6 years later. Mobilize our community to ensure that every single one of Kansas City students reads at or above proficiency by the time they finish third grade. This is not a task only for schools or teachers. We need absolutely you to take part. Volunteer to read. It just takes an hour a week or over your lunchtime. This isn't charity work. This is the Kansas City spirit. Now, I know that Julie Holland is here, and I suspect that Mike English is here, and Jordan is here as well. If they are, please stand, because Julie Holland, our education advisor, has done absolutely fantastic work in the field of education. And Mike and Jordan are the staff at Turn the Page KC. Some challenges are much more subtle than reading scores and word gaps. They're often out of sight to most of us. Since taking office, I've been a vocal advocate for diversity in our business community, in particular in the real estate development community. Too many times, I've walked into a boardroom and I've looked around that boardroom and discussed our city's future development, and I've been the only minority in that room. Something has to change. And that's why this year's launch of Project REAP in Kansas City is a step in the right direction. The Real Estate Associate Program has the support of ALCAP, the Economic Development Corporation, and the Local Investment Support Commission. And the commercial real estate leaders right here in Kansas City are up in it up to their necks. They are full tilt involved. It focuses on connecting minority residents to careers in real estate development through education and training, using local experts right here in Kansas City. This March, the inaugural class of more than 20 began the intensive training and educational program. We're just the 9th market in the United States to spearhead this program. I firmly believe that our city will benefit from a more diverse development industry, guiding economic growth for the decades to come. Making progress in areas like education and economic development are essential, but you and I all know that one thing cannot be ignored. Violence is a corrosive force that can break down our community, halting progress in its tracks and wiping out any chance for collective opportunity. I take no comfort, no joy, no pride in acknowledging that 2016 represented a year marked by way too many deaths and way too much violence in our city. I carry the weight of this with me every single day, and others do too. I'm not satisfied. There are no quick answers, but we're doing things. It only takes a few seconds for someone to decide to resolve a conflict through violence, and only a fraction of a second to solve it with a gun. So what do we do to change the course of those few seconds? Well, first we have to affect the days, the weeks, the months, and the years that precede it. That's the focus of the collaborative project, Kansas City No Violence Alliance, or KC NOVA. We're utilizing better and coordinated intelligence to focus resources on this very small part of the population that causes most of the violence in the city. We're identifying individuals prone to group-related crime and violence, and our message to them is very simple. We know who you are, we know what you're doing, and if you don't stop, we're going to lock you up. We're actually going to these people. We go to them in their homes, we go to them on the street, we find them. We relay this message to them face to face. Now, we also know that we can't combat this problem by trying to lock everybody up. That's been tried, it doesn't work well. That's why we also offer the carrot. Access to social services like job training, substance abuse support, anger management, housing, medical, whatever they need, we will try to get. We currently have about 135 young people who are taking advantage of this option. And while they're taking advantage of this option, they're not engaging in the risky behaviors that we're trying to put down. Our latest numbers show a 10% reduction in group-related violence in our city since NOVA's inception in 2013. Now, I want to take a moment to just acknowledge one of our leaders, one of our board members who will be leaving us, who helped make this entire effort possible. Outgoing U.S. Attorney Tammy Dickinson. Tammy, are you here? Where are you? There you are. Please stand, Tammy. We recognize Tammy not only for her service on this project, but for the service that you brought to this entire community for those years you were in office. Thank you. We will miss you. I also want the other members of KC NOVA who are here. Jean Peters Baker is here. Jean, please stand. Other members of NOVA who are here on the board, please stand and be recognized for the work that you do. Thank you. So we know that our long-term success in reducing violence is impacted by how early we can identify and engage people who are going to be susceptible to either being violent crime victims or violent crime perpetrators. That's why our Teens in Transition summer program for youth on the verge of or actually in trouble is expanding from a summer-only program to a year-long in-school program. These are concrete steps aimed at steering kids away from crime and violence and reducing the chance that someone chooses violence out of desperation. But we know that despite a reduction in group-related crime, drive-by shootings are increasing. Just within the last 48 hours, the house where Amorian Hill, a young kid was shot while he was sleeping in his bed for no apparent reason by a drive-by shooter. That same house was once again shot up by somebody driving by and emptying their guns into that house. 6-year-old child was there this time and fortunately not hurt. The threats require us to stand up and speak out. There is no police department, there is no mayor, there is no city council that can wipe out crime unless the citizens of the city stand up and speak out. If we don't do it, we will not have the results that we want. Report people in the community who feel that they can get away with terrorizing neighborhoods. Contact the police if you know somebody who's the victim in a violent relationship. There is no pride in staying silent. There is no glory in allowing these things to happen, and there's certainly no courage in turning a blind eye to injustice. And I know it can be easy for me to say, but some of this is happening already, and we need to encourage others to speak out. Groups like Mothers in Charge, who show up every single murder site to comfort the survivors. Organizations of all sizes and neighborhood councils and community centers and churches are becoming much more engaged. There is so much work being done right now at the ground level, but we still need more. And we all have to be part of the solution, because staying silent in the face of these threats means surrendering our future, and that is simply not an option that we can accept. That's why last year I set up an anti-violence task force chaired by Councilwoman Jolie Justice, comprised of people at the grassroots level, regular citizens who know what violence does in their communities. And in 2 weeks, I'll join Councilwoman Justice in putting forward the task force recommendations and their action steps. Prevention and deterrence can be a powerful force for change, but we need to remember that violence and murder have lasting effects. Last fall, we opened the doors to the Kansas City Assessment and Triage Center. The center helps Kansas Cityans wrestle with mental illness and struggling with trauma in their lives. And that's a great thing for the city. There is absolutely no question about it. But what keeps me up at night is the reality that the kids who live through this violence and murder, they can't wait until they're an adult to be able to go to some triage center. It's too late for them. That's why I want us to commit as a city to the mental health, to the trauma-focused care of kids who have experienced violent crime and murder, to kids who have seen their parents blown away in front of them, to kids who don't understand that daddy's not really just sleeping, daddy is dead. Those kids carry those scars with them for the rest of their lives, and very seldom do they get treatment after these events. It's no wonder that some of these kids who have witnessed violence, suffered through it, receive no treatment for it, then turn around to be perpetrators of it. If we want to break the cycle, we have to break what we're doing and do something different. We need to take care of our kids. We can teach kids to read. We can help them to become workforce ready. But how do we expect some kid to take those steps when they can't understand why somebody they loved has been taken from them in some thoughtless, senseless, needless, stupid murder? So I believe that more must be done to combat violence in Kansas City, but every one of us should recognize that more can be done to combat violence in Kansas City. Finally, I want to bring up a challenge that affects each of us every day. The infrastructure around us is one of our most vital assets. And that's why it's so important that we make good on our commitment to our city's foundation. I want to acknowledge the work of my colleagues on the city council and the city manager in taking action on this issue this year. Like me, they know that we can't afford to wait any longer. We cannot afford to ignore it any longer. When I entered office in 2011, our city faced a $6 billion with a B, dollar maintenance backlog. Why? It's not sexy to talk about infrastructure. It's certainly not the politically easy route to talk about infrastructure. It's never politically easy to talk about making investments today for things that will pay off later. Most people want it right now. That's why we have iPhones. That's why we have drive-throughs. That's why we have ATMs, because Lord knows going to a bank and standing in line waiting for your money for 10 minutes is not acceptable. But I want you to remember what I said about the difference between politics and leadership. I believe that the 20-year, $800 million general obligation bond package put forward this spring is the right thing to do for our city. I believe that because it's comprised of the projects and needs that rank right at the top of the citizen satisfaction surveys quarter after quarter, year after year. For years, you said we want City Hall to address streets, sidewalks, flooding, and infrastructure. So we got to work last year putting a plan together. It takes a comprehensive, responsible, strategic approach to addressing our basic infrastructure needs. Each year, the city will produce a report card that residents can view and comment on, an accounting of where the money went, what projects were done in the past year, and where the money will go, the projected money will go on what projects in the projected year coming forward. In over 20 years, at approximately $40 million a year, it asks you to invest through an annual property tax increase. It's the lowest, slowest payment method we could put forward. The average residential property owner, someone who owns a $140,000 house and a $15,000 car, will see an increase averaging about $8 a year in their property taxes each year for 20 years. Bottom line, when it comes to sharing the investment, and it will be shared by everybody in the city, whether it's a commercial property owner or a personal property owner, this is the lowest and slowest tax increase we could put forward that still ensures that we get the resources we need to start tackling the long-standing needs in all corners of the city. I can tell you stories about businesses who love being in Kansas City but didn't love getting flooded out every couple of years, and so they left because they couldn't afford to stay. We have buildings built in the 20s where we have people in wheelchairs on the 29th floor that have to go to the 26th floor to use the only ADA-compliant bathroom. ADA compliance is not just a federal law and a mandate, it's a moral mandate. We should never allow people who are not as able-bodied as we are now, recognizing, of course, that in some period of years in the future, we're not going to be very able-bodied either. We should never allow a situation to exist where because I can't stand on my own or I can't see, I have to do something different than anybody else. I can't go to where you go. The GO bonds will also establish a systematic sidewalk repair program, and property owners will no longer have to cover the costs out of pocket as long as the money holds out. I'm sure that you've all seen it. I've seen it. Depends on what neighborhoods, how often you see it, but I've seen it. The guy in the wheelchair rolling down by the curb because they can't roll on the sidewalks because the sidewalks are too bad. Now, that's not smart. That's not safe. That's not good. We have to fix the sidewalks. These are the types of things that make a world-class city great. We also have to take care of our animals. 10,000 animals a year go through a warehouse from the 1960s that we converted into an animal shelter. It was never meant to be an animal shelter. Now, I just want you to think about it. You may have a 1960s car that you love and you keep in the garage. You only drive it during the summertime because you're afraid of any other time of the year. It doesn't have good seat belts. It doesn't have a moonroof. You can't leave the lights on or the battery will run down because it was built in the 60s. It's a nice car. But when you go to pick up your date, you're driving the new Caddy. Because you want your person that you love to have all of the modern conveniences and the things that are necessary for them to feel comfortable. Now, we don't have to have a Cadillac for our animals, but we have to have something a heck of a lot better than the 1960s storage garage that they're in. We need a new animal shelter. It's a public-private partnership, 14 from us, 10 from the private sector, and we'll have an animal shelter that we are not embarrassed of, where the veterinarians don't have to sit out in trailers outside, and where business doesn't have to be conducted in trailers otherwise. We need an animal shelter if we're going to be a first-class city. So I've been willing to go out and make the case directly to residents. It hasn't been something we've been shy about. A lot of us have. Councilwoman Laura has. I know the Councilman Lucas and Reed and Councilman Justice and all sorts of folks in the council. These two guys down here, the Bopsy twins from the 6th District, they've been out. Troy Schulte, Randy. We've all been out making the bid, making the case, because we believe in the case. I've taken part in dozens of public forums since January, answered questions from hundreds of citizens and residents, and you know what? Sometimes in the middle of the winter and the days are long and it's dark outside and you've been answering questions and talking about flooding and sidewalks and streets for 90 minutes of Q&A, it ain't that sexy. But it is that critical. And I love doing it, and I love doing it because the rooms are always full of residents and the questions are always sincere. I love doing it because each and every one of you deserve to know exactly how your dollars are going to be spent and what the city is going to do to make progress each and every year. I know we have the will, and I know we have the ability to do what is in our best interest for the best of our future. Investing in the future is fundamental to progress. If you don't believe me, just remember how far we've come. What's changed? We created momentum. Opportunity ran headfirst into a city full of people willing to take action. This has to continue. And we need a new generation of Kansas Cityans to step up, not just young people, but folks who have been hesitant to get involved. Let's engage in the hard work of progress and honor the mission of making our city great. Community doesn't operate separate of its citizens. We succeed because of and when we all get involved. So how do we do this? There's a few easy ways. Go ahead and learn more about the GO bonds. You can find out all sorts of information going online, reading the questions that will be on the ballot. It's all on kcmo.gov/infrastructure. It's on the Progress KC website. There's the ordinance, there's a resolution, there's a list of street projects, the flooding things, and how we're going to do it, etc. They're there. Find those details in the costs out. Second, tell our story. Tell the story of this city. Aspire to show the world our music, our art, our food, technology, medicine, engineering, manufacturing, our heart and our passion. Third, never, ever give in to the naysayers or the small thinking people. They will drive you nuts. Literally. Never compromise our character. In short, get involved today. For those at home, you can take action in the programs and projects that I've discussed tonight and more. It's all at kcmayor.org. And for those here in the room tonight, when you walk out of the doors of the auditorium, you're going to find volunteers waiting and willing to tell you about programs, the people they serve, and the real and lasting change that you can make in this city. If we renew our commitment to service and take action, in the end, it really won't matter which came first, the feeling of confidence or the feeling of momentum. When I took office in 2011, our city felt stuck in neutral. We lacked a cohesive vision. And I took seriously the challenge of setting a new tone and pushing all of us to recognize how truly great this city could be, how capable we are, the potential that we've always had and never fully expanded. This is a tradition as old as our city itself. In the book I mentioned earlier, Joyce Hall recalls a story from more than a century ago. In it, Thomas Hart Benton, whose art lines the walls of this auditorium tonight, stood along the bluffs overlooking what is our downtown today and said, "Here where the Missouri turns eastward to the Mississippi, a large commercial and manufacturing community will congregate, and in less than a generation, we will see a great city on those hills." See, our potential ultimately becomes our reality. The question is whether or not we live up to it or not. I think a few years ago, all we needed was to be reminded of what we're capable of and what it takes to make real progress. We have reignited that tradition, the spirit of service that calls us to take part and ask, what if? As a result, we're writing a new chapter in our city's history, and I want each and every one of us to have a role in it. So I say, let's make our mark on the years ahead, because ultimately, that's our test. Our kids and grandkids aren't going to judge us by the ideals that we hope for them. They're going to judge us by the reality that we leave for them. They will be the beneficiaries of the renewed spirit of Kansas City. Thank you all very much. Good night. God bless you all. God bless Kansas City.
I got this feeling inside my bones. It goes electric wavy when I turn it on. Off from my city, off from my home.